Welcome, guys. Welcome into the live. It is Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon. It's only 2:30 in the afternoon. It is August 5th of 2023. Wow. And we are going to continue reading the book Tuesdays with Morrie. OMG, guys. We started reading this book this week. It's not a big book, but this book is packed with so much inspiration. You would not want to read another book. And I'm not endorsing this book. I ain't get no coins for this book. I am only reading it because, that's what I do. I just read. And And that is what I'm doing here. I'm just reading because that's what I do. When y'all don't see me online, I'm probably catching a nap, or my head is buried in a book, or I'm doing something like sometimes I'm crocheting. I don't even have time to put on the video. I just like, you know what? Let me just whip up this crochet or something. But this book, guys, this book is packed with so much information. For it to have only about 200 and some pages, it's better than some books I've read, 400 pages that could have been reduced to 100 pages, because it's like 400 pages but 300 pages of nothing. But this book, so much inspiration, so much power, so many words of wisdom and knowledge, and words that will fill you up and make you just want to live. Because that's what we got life for, guys. Don't forget, we got life to live it. I've seen a lot of people, I was raised around people who don't believe in making it big on earth now or anything like that. They talk more about the life they will live after this life rather than investing more in this life. I'm to the contrary. After this life, the life you get after this is a life of darkness. Yeah, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not here for agreement. I'm here to share my views. Yeah, when your eyes close and you stop breathing, that's not a life. That's darkness. You're gone into the world of darkness. This morning when we read the book of Job, Job spoke about that darkness. After you are out of this life, you're into that life of darkness, where even if there is light, any light that is there is darkness. You can't see, you can't walk, you can't speak, you can't experience anything. And that is so with death. Once you die, you die. There is no coming back. There is nothing like that. You're gone. So if you don't live this life, you just existed, really. You never live. And in this book, Chooses with Morrie, an old man afflicted with a disease, a cruel disease. ALS is a very cruel disease. ALS robs you. And it doesn't just rob you and go. It just stays and continually rob you. It robs you of your muscles. It robs you of your feelings. It robs you of your tact. It robs you of your ability to be, to do. It just slowly robs you, and you are inside of your body, just watching your body decay, just watching your body disappear, and your abilities just get hijacked, and and beaten and stripped and taken away from you bit by bit by bit. And for those of you who have been here with me, you see how Morrie has gone from just feeling weakness in the legs to the legs becoming weak and atrophied. The muscle mass is gone. Um, he has gone to so far he can't walk. He has to use a wheelchair. Then he can't use the bathroom on his own. Somebody has to help him to use the bathroom. Then he can't even move his legs. Somebody has to move them to put them in a comfortable position for him. Then he's just losing weight because he can't eat too much and his body isn't able to use up the calories he's eating. And this disease is just ascending his body. And is he is just wasting away. But that doesn't stop him. That doesn't stop him. His brain remains sharp. His thoughts remain pure. And he is sharing all that he has with the world before this cruel disease finally takes him out of this world. And it is absolutely phenomenal. Not many people can face death with as much grace as Morrie. Because when people are faced with impending death, they usually are angry and bitter. Um, they are hateful. People, they can be suicidal. They are angry, a lot of people, when they are faced with diseases. And that is not unheard of, and that is not unreasonable. As we read the Bible this morning, we saw where Job, and it is very funny that I didn't plan this, but this book, reading of this book, has come into place at the same time as I am reading the book of Job. Isn't that something? Job was afflicted, and in his affliction, he he was angry at God. Um, and that is understandable that he was angry at God. Who wouldn't be? When people are afflicted with terminal illnesses, they get angry at the one person who they believe has the authority to take this illness away. And if this person do not see them as worthy enough to take this illness away, they get angry. They go through a lot of self-reflection. They ask themselves a lot of questions. What have I done? What did I do wrong? I don't think I did anything wrong for me to be afflicted with this kind of disease. And so, just like Morrie, Job was afflicted. But the difference is, Morrie says, I want to squeeze every single ounce of joy out of every day. I want to squeeze as much life out of every day as I can before I go. Job said, look, I've been faithful. I have served you. I have done everything that you wanted me to do. Why did you bring me out of my mother's womb and bring me into this world for me to be suffering like this? Look at me, I'm covered with sores. I got worms coming out of these sores and pus and all this purulent drainage that's coming out of, of these sores. I can't sit comfortably. I cannot lay down comfortably. I can't walk around. I can't do anything. People are scorning me. People are looking at me. I'm in pain all the time. Is this what you brought me out of my mother's womb for me to feel? For me to experience? You should have just left me there. You should have just taken me, let this happen to me when I was an infant, when I didn't know anything, when I didn't have any great experiences to fall back on, when my memory wasn't as sharp. when my acuity wasn't at this level. Now you have brought me out of my mother's womb, made me live to be an old man, have children, experience life, and then you afflict me with this cruel disease. Morrie, on the other hand, Morrie says, I am grateful for every single minute that I am alive. From the time I was a toddler to the time I was a teenager to the time I was in my 20s. I can't be 20s again. I'm now 70 some years old. I enjoyed being in my 30s. I look back with great pride at being in my 30s and my 40s and my 50s. He says every single age and every single decade of his life, he has enjoyed it, and he is grateful for having had an impact on humanity and having lived to be that age, regardless of the fact that he's now being sort of eaten alive by this cruel disease. So we are going to continue reading the book Tuesdays with Morrie, because Morrie has a lot of inspiration for us. Those of us who are faced with terminal illness, those of us who are, I mean, just struggling with life, those of us who are, whatever it is that we are battling, something mental, something physical, something spiritual, something financial, we can always find inspiration in this book. Mike is here. Mike, welcome, 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 Mike. Welcome. How are you doing this Saturday? I see my sister Fly Girl Georgia is in the place as well. Oh, that, Sister Winsome? Sister Winsome, my love, how are you doing, my love? Winsome, I'm here, I'm not too bad. Come home from work and I take a sleep right here, so, and I wake up and I say I got to get this out of the way before I get myself together and go back to the people and work. So I gotta get as much done as I can before I head on out the door. So the next thing I'm on is this book. I gotta get this book out of the way. I may not finish reading all of it today, but definitely by tomorrow. Because we are on page 141 and this book has just 206 pages. So we are on our way. We are going. All right. So I thank you all for coming. Let us continue to read. I just need a little bit more. I just need a little bit more light. Yeah, I need a little bit more light to be able to read this book. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be alright. All right, so we're gonna read. I was just trying to get a little bit more light around here. Okay, let us begin reading this book. In the South America rainforest, there is a tribe called the Desana, who see the world as a fixed quantity of energy that flows between all creatures. Every birth must therefore engender a death, and every death bring forth another birth. This way, the energy of the world remains complete. When they hunt for food, the Desana know that the animals they kill will leave a hole in the spiritual well. But that hole will be filled, they believe, by the souls of the Desana hunters when they die. Were there no man dying, were there no man dying, there would be no birds or fish being born. I like that idea. Morrie likes it too. The closer he gets to goodbye, the more he seems to feel we are all creatures in the same forest. What we take, we must replenish. It's only fair, he says. Yeah, when some tell me to do Bible quiz. When some do Bible quiz, not Thursday, we usually do the Bible quiz. We do Bible quiz from Thursday. Yeah, I did Bible quiz on Thursday. And I think it was Monea who won. I want your sister win some. You know, I keep up. And when sister, when come, how come they not text me? You know, reach back to Jamaica yet? So you know, see it. It's supposed to be there. You probably not get no notification. You know how YouTube is. Like a YouTube have me on them blacklist. Them just blacklist me all the time. Like wow. But anywho, yeah. But anywho, we are going. We're going on. We're doing what we're doing. We ain't watching no face and we ain't worried. The 10th Tuesday. This is the 10th Tuesday of Mitch visiting Morrie. The 10th Tuesday, we talk about marriage. Wow. I brought a visitor to meet Morrie, my wife. He had been asking me since the first day I came, when do I meet Janine? When are you bringing her? I'd always had excuses until a few days earlier when I called his house to see how he was doing. It took a while for Morrie to get to the receiver, and when he did, I could hear the fumbling as someone held it to his ear. He could no longer lift a phone by himself. Hi! He gasped. You doing okay, coach? I heard him exhale. Mitch, your coach, isn't having such a great day. His sleeping time was getting worse. He needed oxygen almost nightly now, and his coughing spells had become frightening. One cough could last an hour, and he never knew if he'd be able to stop. He always said he would die when the disease gets to his lungs. I shuddered when I thought how close death was. I don't know why I hear the music. I'm supposed to hear the music so loud. Okay, that should be enough. That should be enough. Let us continue. His sleeping time was getting worse. He needed oxygen almost nightly now, and his coughing spells had become frightening. One cough could last an hour, and he never knew if he'd be able to stop. He always said he would die when the disease gets to his lungs. I shuddered when I thought how close death was. I'll see you on Tuesday, I said. You'll have a better day then. Mitch? Yeah? Is your wife there with you? She was sitting next to me. Put her on. I want to hear her voice. Now, I am married to a woman blessed with far more intuitive kindness than I am. Although she had never met Morrie, she took the phone. I would have shaken my head and whispered, I'm not here. I'm not here. And in a minute, she was connecting with my old professor as if they had known each other since college. I sensed this, even though all I heard on my end was, Mitch told me, oh, thank you. When she hung up, she said, I'm coming next trip. And that was that. Now we sat in his office, surrounding him in his in his recliner. Morrie, by his own admission, was a harmless flirt, and while he often had to stop for coughing or to use the commode, he seemed to find new reserves of energy with Janine in the room. He looked at photos from our wedding, which Janine had brought along. You are from Detroit? Morrie said. Yes, Janine said. I thought I taught in Detroit for 1 year in the late 40s. I remember a funny story about that. He stopped to blow his nose. Then he fumbled with the tissue. I held it in place and he blew weakly into it. I, que- I squeezed it lightly against his nostrils, then pulled it off, like a mother does to a child in a car seat. Thank you, Mitch. He looked at Janine. My helper, this one is. Janine smiled. Anywho, my story. There were a bunch of sociologists at the university, and we used to play poker with other staff members, including this guy who was a surgeon. One night after the game, he said, Morrie, I want to come see you work. I said, fine. So he came to one of my classes and watched me teach. After the class was over, he said, all right now, how would you like to see me work? I have an operation tonight. I wanted to return the favor, so I said, okay. He took me up to the hospital. He said, scrub down, put on a mask, and get into a gown. And next thing I knew, I was right next to him at the operating table. There was this woman, the patient, on the table, naked from the waist down. And he took a knife and went zip just like that. Well, well, well. Morrie lifted a finger and spun it around. I started to go like this. I'm about to faint. All the blood. Yikes! The nurse, the nurse next to me said, what's the matter, doctor? And I said, I'm no damn doctor. Get me out of here. We laughed, and Morrie laughed too, as hard as he could with his limited breathing. It was the first time in weeks that I could recall him telling a story like this. How strange, I thought, that he nearly fainted once from watching someone else's illness, and now he was so able to endure his own. Connie knocked on the door and said that Morrie's lunch was ready. It was not the carrot soup and vegetable cakes and Greek pasta I had brought that morning from Bread and Circus, although I tried to buy the softest of foods now. They were still beyond Morrie's limited strength to chew and swallow. He was eating mostly liquid supplements, with perhaps a bran muffin tossed, tossed in until it was mushy and easily digested. Charlotte would puree almost everything in a blender now. He was taking food through a straw. I still shopped every week and walked in with bags to show him, but it was more for the look on his face than anything else. When I opened the refrigerator, I would see an overflow of containers. I guess I was hoping that one day we would go back to eating a real lunch together, and I would watch the sloppy way in which he talked while chewing, the food spilling happily out of his mouth. This was a foolish hope. So, Janine, Morris said. She smiled. You are lovely. Give me your hand. She did. Mick says that you are a professional singer. Yes, Janine said. He says you are great. Oh, she laughed. No, he just says that. Morrie raised his eyebrows. Will you sing something for me? Now, I have heard people ask this of Janine for almost as long as I've known her. When people find out you sing for a living, they always say, sing something for me. Shy about her talent and a perfectionist about conditions, Janine never did. She would politely decline, which is what I expected now, which is when she began to sing. When he expects her to decline, that's when she sings. Aurelie is here. Aurelie, my love, how are you doing, my darling? Aurelie is here. No, let me see. Let me see. Where is my other account? Stale News. Where is that? Where Aurelie is concerned? Let me see. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Okay. Okay, that's the all shoops. Dory is live. Money and Dory is live. But me can't go on their live while me on live. Unless me go on their live on this. But me can't manipulate this while me I read. So here is my Aurelie. Oh, Aurelie this. No, son, hey, you may give this a watch over today. This watch over today is for Aurelie. Well, on there, gentle people, Aurelie's Delight. Okay, there you are, my love. Let me see where your playlist. What part of your playlist have I not seen? All right, we're gonna run this one. Cooking with RLE. All right, there you are. Make sure so we have enough noise. Make sure so it not turn off. Okay, so there you are. All right, Arliss, you go on, bless up your nice clean self right there, so. And this other device here, so, is running the lovely mic. Oh, you put out one new video. Oh, me never know. All right, this other one here, so, is running mic from MTC Creative Kitchen. Yeah, Mike, I run him nice clean self right here, so. And that's how that is. I'm like, oh, Mike things are going up. Mike, subbies. Oh, okay, 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 okay. All right, Mike and him porridge are going with himself. All right, Mike, are you that? Oh, let me turn it down just a little bit. All right, Mike. So that's you right there, and that's Sister Arlise right there. And let us continue with the reading. Let us continue. Now comes nasty the light. All right, here we go. Let us continue. Where are we? She did. Mitch says that you're a professional singer. Yes, Janine said. He says you are great. Oh, she laughed. No, he just says that. Morrie raised his eyebrows. Will you sing something for me? Now I have heard people ask this of Janine for almost as long as I've known her. When people find out you're a professional singer, they always say, sing something for us. Shy about her talent and a perfectionist about conditions, Janine never did. She would politely decline, which is what I expected now, which is when she began to sing. The very thoughts of you and I forget to do, the little ordinary things that everyone else ought to do. Oh, I don't know what kind of sweet song is that. It was a 1930. No wonder I didn't know what it was. AG, AG, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Bless up your nice clean self, AG. I hope you are doing great. Hope you're having yourself a great day, my love. Hope you are having yourself a great day, my dear AG. What a phone and come on. It a go on bad with itself. Yeah, the phone you have to come on. Let me give AG. Let me give AG some hours. And as me open it and look, here comes AG. AG born Jamaican. I'm a born Jamaican. I'm a son of the soil. I love the sea, I love the sun, and I love the sun. No matter where I go, Jamaica is my home. I love the sweet coconut water and white rum. Miss the Food Chronicles. Me think we watch off the Food Chronicles already. I think, yeah. I watch off the Food Chronicles them already. Yeah, I make me see Garden Chronicles. Alright, me know watch all like Garden Chronicles. Growing sorrel. Growing sorrel in Georgia. Wish we could get some sorrel seed. It only enough to plant sorrel because sorrel come in at Christmas. Hold on. Hold on the AG. Alright, you that. You that AG. Bless up yourself. Modest, Mr. AG, you know, see me left the garden for nearly 3 weeks and go away. Me say, when I come back, the only thing left in the garden I wait for me, I want eggplant. Modest! The only thing left in the garden waiting on me was an eggplant. Well, I don't really just want eggplant. Not, me say the garden, let me tell you, say the garden burn up. Me say all the pumpkin, see how much pumpkin me did have. Me say every last, me can't believe say for the little 3 weeks. I mean, left no, I mean, this time I go left water buckle and then root, you know, and me never do it. Cause you know, some things the rain that go fall. Me say, every Jesus thing dry up. The one dege eggplant. That's what nature. You know, the nature have a cruel sense of humor. Me say, nature left one eggplant. Watch out, so. Modest, what's up? What's up, Modest? Me say the book. The book name summary, Modest. The book name Tuesdays with Morrie. The book name so. Oh, that's what you said today on a Saturday. Yeah, today. Me say, AG. That's all nature left for me. For the 3 little weeks, my God. They said the Lord said will provide all your needs. Nature left one dege eggplant. One dege eggplant. Nature left for me in the garden. Me come back, me say, what is this? But me get two pear off of the tree. The rest of them look like them are withered up and dry up. Me don't know some part of the pear tree are withered up and dry up. Me don't know what kind of phenomenon that is. Um, the only trees that stayed well during this whole time was the two plum tree and the two peach tree. Them they then still nice, bright eyed and bushy tail throughout the harshness of the times. I mean, never because they are planted so deep in the ground, so they have lots of moisture underground where them they could have pull in for them reserves. But they stayed good. The blueberry tree, me see the leaf them kind of crisp up. Me open a dead it a dead. Um if it continue doing that, me I go dig it up and check out the roots and make sure so nothing they underneath there eat the root them. Yeah, me I go give it another week and see what it is doing. Cause me see how it a go on with itself. Me I go get some dirt and maybe change the spot where me plant it and see, you know. Me no know. But the apple tree still have three nice big juicy apples on there. Yes, so that the other apple tree it need a 7 or 11. I kind of put some mulch around it. I go get some more put around it, see if it will be here for next season. I don't know. The carrot them dehydrated under the ground. The ground so dry, the carrot them withered up. So them can't reap right now. I have to keep watering them. Only for beans out there, but me in the mood for eating no beans. So I left them make them dry up so I can get the beans to plant for next year. And the sweet potato, all of its head, it go on with itself. We carry up some more slips, and fork up a little more area to make it get a room for run. We get more tomatoes, a little baby tomatoes out there. I picked a few when I came back. The basil, everything else dry up basically. The cucumber them, everything dry up. Everything, everything. So you want have a green thumb, you have a black thumb. Besides this, I must have more than black thumb, brother. Why are you hiding in the bushes doing fruit? Talk about chef. Oh my gosh, people! Me just wake up. You know what? I come from work tired and me sleep, and then me just wake up and me decide say, all right. Once me wake up, before me get up, let me just go and read this book because I need to finish reading this book. Yeah. And me say me have one goal and me say me I go do what you saw. What is me do you saw? And I said I am going to do at least 4 hours alive every day. Me not always able to do it. And since August start, me kind of start far back. But me I go and do what me can do when me can do. You understand? Yeah. So that's what that is. Miss. So me fit turn on my camera. Me can't turn on my camera. Because if you don't see the condition when me in here start talk about turn on camera. Me can't turn on the camera, you know, yeah, my des. Cause this a condition when me in a right here, so can't go on TV. You think I only fans this year pan? You think so only fans this? No, sir. No, sir. Me can show you one little bit of my face. One little bit. Since you say you want to see my face. Let me show you one little tip. Let me show you one little tips on my face. But that's about it. That's about it. When me I go show you. I was trying to find this now. Me have to go here, so. I want me gonna do me so. Yeah, me have to go there, so. And then go there, so. See then? That is all I can show you on. Here, come and just wake up. Alright, is that it fine now? Yeah, that is all I could have show you. I may have to make sure say me bring it all the way up to my face. The condition of the garden ever stay good, but the garden the outer door not stay right. I just the garden outer door wanna stay right. But the other garden stay just right. Just right. Just right. Oh, what is Yes, I'm have to go continue reading. AG continue playing right here, so. Micah play this, so. Arelisa play this, so. So I'm going to continue reading my book. Tuesdays with Morrie. Alright guys, welcome into the live. Thank you all so much for coming. Now we see where Janine has sung. Joe. Yeah, so ask. When someone around with Joe for. Joe, you know you win some stuff and I want to come look for him. Yes, AG. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. All right, with upon this now, Tuesdays with Morrie. It was a 1930s standard written by Ray Noble, and Janine sang it sweetly, looking straight at Morrie. I was amazed, once again, at his ability to draw emotion from people who otherwise kept it locked away. Morrie closed his eyes and absorbed the notes. As my wife's lovely voice filled the room, a crescent smile appeared on his face. And while his body was stiff as a sandbag, you could almost see him dancing inside it. I see your face in every flower. I don't know the song, guys. I see your face in every flower, your eyes in the stars above. It's just the thought of you, the very thought of you, my love. When she finished, Morrie opened his eyes and tears rolled down his cheeks. In all the years I have listened to my wife sing, I never heard her the way he did at that moment. Marriage. Almost everyone I knew had a problem with it. Some had problems getting into it. Some had problems getting out. My generation seemed to struggle with the commitment as if it were an alligator from some murky swamp. I had gotten used to attending weddings, congratulating the couple, and feeling only mild surprise when I saw the groom a few years later sitting in a restaurant with a younger woman whom he introduced as a friend. You know, I'm separated from so and so, he would say. Why do we have such problems? I asked Morrie about this. Having waited 7 years before I proposed to Janine, I wondered if people my age were being more careful than those who came before us, or simply more selfish? Well, I don't know, but I think the latter is true, that we are becoming more selfish. Yeah, I mean, we have been taught to be individualistic. We have been taught, and because of that, we don't see marriage or commitment to one another as a we don't see marriage as a partnership. We don't see where it's necessary for us to commit to another human being and share the lives of each other and grow old together. We want to do our own thing. And many of us, because of the chunk of bite, the chunk of meat that marriage has taken out of our lives. We don't wanna do that no more, because sometimes marriage come in like a shark, and it just grabs your life and take out a big chunk out of it. And when you struggle to recover and you finally do, you won't want to go back into that water. You won't want that shark to bite you again. I know I don't. So that is why people are so afraid of marriage. And the way how the society is structured, the way it is structured, you lose more getting out of a marriage than you did getting in. Because if you spend $1,000 for the wedding, trust me, you're going to spend more than 10 times that getting out. Now, who wants to gamble with their life like that? Who? Certainly not me. Certainly not me. I wouldn't want to gamble with that anymore, because I spent thousands of dollars getting into that marriage. Spent thousands of dollars in that marriage. Spend like $30,000 getting out. You think I'm gonna do that to myself again? Uh-uh. Um, what was his name? Sam Sharp said, I'd rather die than live in slavery. Me not doing it, because society has made it that way for marriage to break you. Or if you abandon the garden and looking for it to give you food. Acho Joseph. Acho. Acho. Eh. Acho Joseph. Me abandon the garden for true. You understand? Me abandon the garden for true. Me go away and left the garden. When you dey call your confederate for come in for me. Ay. Oh my gosh. Okay, Mr. Mike, make some fritters that them look good this day. Watch us now. So early, so make us so cabbage and something that looking nice. That's what AG I do over here, so. Um, wait, what? Meet your AG voice, so. Hold on then. You see, YouTube wicked. Me show me face the one little time, and that YouTube put up instead of the picture that's there, like that. What? Where this they show me? Hold on there, where AG there? Let me hear my talk, but me not seeing. I'm a born Jamaican. Oh, AG put up somebody. Oh, that's what it is. AG show somebody else. Funny playlist. All right, there you go. There you go. There you are. There you are. All right, there you are, my love. Yes, I put the camera off because me not in a no position for show myself, sis. No position for show myself. Me just wake up and lay down here, so see me how me sleep or see me how me wake up. Yeah, me just glad to me wake up. So let us continue reading this. Well, I feel sorry for your generation, Morrie said. In this culture, it's so important to find a loving relationship with someone because so much of the culture does not give you that. But the poor kids today, either they are too selfish to take part in a real loving relationship, or they rush into marriage and then 6 months later they get divorced. They don't know what they want in a partner. They don't know who they are themselves. So how can they know who they are marrying? He sighed. Morrie had counseled so many unhappy lovers in his years as a professor. It's sad because a loved one is so important. You realize that, especially when you are in a time like I am, when you are not doing so well. Friends are great, but friends are not going to be here on a night when you are coughing and can't sleep, and someone has to sit up all night with you, comfort you, try to be helpful. Charlotte and Morrie, who met as students, had been married 44 years. Wow. I watch them together now. When she would remind him of his medication, or come in and stroke his neck, or talk about one of their sons. They worked as a team, often needing no more than a silent glance to understand what the other was thinking. Charlotte was a private person, different from Morrie, but I knew how much he respected her because sometimes when he spoke, he would say, Charlotte might be uncomfortable with me revealing that, and he would end the conversation. It was the only time Morrie held anything back. I've learned this much about marriage, he said. Now, you get tested. You find out who you are, who the other person is, and how you accommodate or don't. Is there some kind of rule to know if a marriage is going to work? Morrie smiled. Things are not that simple, Mitch. I know. Still, he said, there are a few rules I know to be true about love and marriage. If you don't respect the other person, you are gonna have a lot of trouble. If you don't know how to compromise, you are gonna have a lot of trouble. Hey, Joseph said, who cares how me look? Joseph, me care how me look. Remember, say, I know you wanna see me now. I know you wanna see me now, Joseph. The whole world can come right here so on my channel and see me now. So me not think me need to come out there like this. No sir. No sir. No sir. I mean I feel like it getting up. Cause me have to go get up, spend time for go up the stairs and go get myself together. I'm not in the mood for that. When me get up and do that, I get ready for go work. So it is what it is, my love. Then you know see me all the time. I don't see me that's up on the screen. See me up on the screen, you know, Joe. Yeah, I mean that. I mean that, man. I mean that. I mean that right that's up on the screen. All right. Let us continue. Mitch Morris smiled. Things are not that simple, Mitch. I know. Still, he said, there are a few rules I know to be true about love and marriage. If you don't respect the other person, you are going to have a lot of trouble. If you don't know how to compromise, you are going to have a lot of trouble. If you can't talk openly about what goes on between you are gonna have a lot of trouble. And if you don't have a common set of values in life, you are gonna have a lot of trouble. Your values must be alike. And the biggest one of those values, Mitch, yes, your belief in the importance of your marriage. He sniffed, then closed his eyes for a moment. Personally, he sighed, his eyes still closed. I think marriage is a very important thing to do, and you are missing a hell of a lot if you don't try it. He ended the subject by quoting the poem he believed in like a prayer. Love each other or perish. Want to hear that, married people and people who planning to get married? Love each other or perish. Let's move on. Okay, question, I say to Morrie. His bony fingers hold his glasses across his chest. which rises and falls with each labored breath. What's the question? He says. Remember the book of Job? OMG! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! There has to be some kind of inspiration in this. Because who would have known that we would be reading this book at the same time we are reading the book of Job? I did not plan that, guys. I swear, I did not plan it. I did not. Oh, Josie says not this year when him look. I know, I understand. I understand that perfectly. Um, I understand, my darling. Oh no, we look for me later. Later on, me I go to work. Me do one live on my way to work. Yeah, on my way to work, so we can chat for about 30 minutes. Me not drive 30 minutes to go work. Me drive about 10 minutes. But by the time I reach a work and sit in the parking lot and chat to them for maybe 1 30 minutes. All right. Yeah, that time you will see me. So no problem. Let us continue. Remember the book of Job from the Bible? Right? Job is a good man, but God makes him suffer to test his faith. Yeah, I remember. Takes away everything he has, his house, his money, his family, his health. He makes him sick to test his faith. Right? To test his faith. So I am wondering, what are you wondering? What do you think about that? Morrie coughs violently. His hands quiver as he drops them by his side. I think, he says, smiling, God overdid it. Morrie says he thinks God overdid it. You need to. I mean, if you show up beautiful. I agree with you, Jojo. I agree with you. Just like Mr. Micah make them beautiful fritters there. And early. What is early? So make you so. Oh, this is one Thanksgiving. One Thanksgiving turkey. A turkey that are it have pineapple and it look like All right. All right. See that? See, that's all right. That's all right. That's all. All right. That is our release, right? That's all. Mike still a fry them fritters. When Mike done fry the daylights out of them fritters there. Holy mackerel. Let me see what AG I do here, so. But just so the moment every time I put this on my chest, cause me want the light, it seemed to disappear. AG sitting disappear. How it is? AG you sitting keep on a disappear. Oh. Ah. OMG. But on the people, me I try to find your age. Age, what they going in at it? What they going on in America here? Something wrong here, so but not the Bible. Why you something keep on a cut off? AG, you understand? AG, why you something keep on a cut off? What is going on with you? You something keep on a cut off. Alright, make this play. This is the Truckers Chronicle. Alright, Truckers Chronicle, make it go and play right here, so. Alright, well, I tell you, or at least I tell you, I never would have known that this book would come in to be read at the same time when I am reading about Job. This is such a pleasant coincidence. Such a pleasant coincidence, my people. And I love this coincidence. Oh, wow. Let us continue reading. The 11th Tuesday, we talked about our culture. All right, we're going to talk about our culture. Hit him harder. I slapped Morrie's back harder. I slapped him again, near his shoulders. Now down lower. Morrie, dressed in pajama bottoms, lay in bed on his side, his head flushed against the pillow, his mouth open. The physical therapist was showing me how to bang loose the poison in his lungs, which he needed done regularly now to keep it from solidifying, to keep him breathing. I always knew you wanted to hit me, Morrie gasped. Yeah, I joked as I wrapped my fist against his alabaster skin of his back. This is for that B you gave me in sophomore year. Whack! We all laughed, a nervous laughter that comes when that devil is within earshot. It would have been cute, this little scene, were it not what we all knew it was, the final calisthenics before death. Morrie's disease was now dangerously close to his surrender spot, his lungs. He had been predicting he would die from choking, and I could not imagine a more terrible way to go. Sometimes he would close his eyes and try to draw the air up into his mouth and nostrils, and it seemed as if he were trying to lift an anchor. Outside, it was jacket weather, early October. The leaves clumped in piles on the lawns around West Newton. Morrie's physical therapist had come in early in the day, and I usually excused myself when nurses or specialists had business with him. But as the weeks passed and our time ran down, I was increasingly less self-conscious about the physical embarrassment. I wanted to be there. I wanted to observe everything. This was not like me, but then neither were a lot of things that had happened these last few months in Morrie's house. So I watched the therapist work on Morrie in the bed, pounding the back of his ribs, asking if he could feel the congestion loosening within him. And when she took a breath, she asked if I wanted to try. I said yes. Morrie, his face on a pillow, gave a little smile. Not too hard, he said. I'm an old man. I drummed on his back and sides, moving around as she instructed. I hated the idea of Morris lying in bed under any circumstance. His last aphorism, "When you are in bed, you are dead," rang in my ears. And curled on his side, he was so small, so withered. It was more a boy's body than a man's. I saw the paleness of his skin, the stray white hairs, the way his arms hung limp and helpless. Just the right timing, I tell you, it's the best timing. And I didn't even know it. I thought about how much time we spent trying to shape our bodies, lifting weights, crunching sit ups, and in the end, making take nature takes away from us anyhow. Nature takes it away from us anyhow. Beneath my fingers, I felt the loose flesh around Morrie's bones, and I thumped him hard as instructed. The truth is, I was pounding on his back when I wanted to be hitting the walls. Mitch, Morrie gasped, his voice jumpy as a jackhammer as I pounded on him. Oh, when did did I when did I give you a B? He said. Morrie believed in the inherent good of people, but he also saw what they could become. People are only mean when they are threatened, he said later that day. And that's what our culture does. That's what our economy does. Even people who have jobs in our economy are threatened because they worry about losing them. And when you get threatened, you start looking out only for yourself. You start making money a god. It is all part of this culture. He exhaled, which is why I don't buy into it. I nodded at him and squeezed his hand. We held hands regularly now. This was another change for me. Things that be, things that before would have made me embarrassed or squeamish were now routinely handled. The catheter bag connected to the tube inside him and filled with greenish waste fluid lay by my foot near the leg of the chair. A few months earlier, it might have disgusted me. It was inconsequential now. So was the smell of the room after Morrie had used the commode. He did not have the luxury of moving from place to place, of closing a bathroom door behind him, spraying some air freshener when he left. There was his bed, there was his chair, and that was his life. If my life were squeezed into such a thimble, I bro- I I doubt I could make it smell any better. Here's what I mean by building your own little subculture, Morris said. I don't mean you disregard every rule of your community. I don't go around naked, for example. I don't run through red lights. The little things I can obey, but the big things, how we think, what we value, those you must choose yourself. You can't let anyone or any society determine those for you. Take my condition, for example. The things I am supposed to be embarrassed about now. Not being able to walk, not being able to wipe my own ass, waking up some mornings wanting to cry. There is nothing innately embarrassing or shaming about them. It's the same for women not being thin enough or men not being rich enough. It's just what our culture would have us believe. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. These are the words from Morrie. I asked Morrie why he hadn't moved somewhere else when he was younger. Where? I don't know. Maybe South America, maybe New Guinea, someplace not as selfish as America. Every society has its own problems, Morrie said, lifting his eyebrows, the closest he could come to a shrug. The way to do it, I think, isn't to run away. You have to work at creating your own culture. Look, no matter where you live, the biggest defect we human beings have is our short sightedness. We don't see what we could be. We should be looking at our potential, stretching ourselves into everything we can become. But if you are surrounded by people who say, I want mine now, you end up with a few people with everything and a military to keep the poor ones from rising up and stealing it. Morrie looked over my shoulder to the far window. Sometimes you could hear a passing truck or a whip of the wind. He gazed for a moment at his neighbors' houses, then continued. The problem, Mitch, is that we don't believe we are as much alike as we are. Whites and blacks, Catholics and Protestants, men and women. If we saw each other as more alike, we might be very eager to join in one big, happy family in the world and to care about that family the way we care about our own. But believe me, when you are dying, you see it is true. We all have the same beginning, birth, and we all have the same ending, death. So, how different can we be? Invest in the human family, invest in people, build a little community of those you love and who love you. He squeezed my hand gently. I squeezed back harder. And like that carnival contest where you bang a hammer and watch the disc rise up the pole, I could almost see my body heat rise up Morris' chest and neck into his cheeks and eyes. He smiled. In the beginning of life, when we are infants, we need others to survive, right? And at the end of life, when we get like me, we need others to survive, right? His voice dropped to a whisper. But here's the secret in between. We need others as well. A lot of people don't think so. A lot of people don't think that they need others. They think that they are able to take care of themselves and they can do everything by themselves. But it is not so. Because I grew up singing this song that no man is an island, no man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me, each man's grief is my own. We need one another. So I will defend each man as my brother, each man as my friend. Okay, let us continue reading. Later that afternoon, Connie and I went into the bedroom to watch the O.J. Simpson verdict. It was a tense scene as the principals all turned to face the jury. Simpson, in his blue suit, surrounded by his small army of lawyers, the prosecutors who wanted him behind bars just a few feet away. When the foreman read the verdict, not guilty, Connie shrieked, "Oh my God!" We watched as OJ hugged his lawyers. We listened as the commentators tried to explain what it all meant. We saw crowds of blacks celebrating in the streets outside the courthouse, and crowds of whites sitting stunned inside restaurants. The decision was being hailed as momentous, even though murders take place every day. Connie went out into the hall. She had seen enough. I heard the door to Morrie's study close. I stared at the TV set. Everyone in the world is watching this thing, I told myself. Then from the other room, I heard the ruffling of Morris being lifted from his chair, and I smiled. As the trial of the century reached its dramatic conclusion, my old professor was sitting on the toilet. You all remember that O.J. Simpson case, right? Boy, that O.J. Simpson case was something else, I tell you. Something else. And there are many. There are many people like me who still believe that O.J. was guilty. He was guilty. He was guilty as guilty can be. Many of us believe, but then we are no lawyers. And they say that he was judged by a group of his peers, they call it, and he was found to be not guilty. Because when Johnny Cochran said, if the glove doesn't fit, then you must acquit, after Johnny Cochran get that little tiny glove for OJ to put his big old football hands into. His hands couldn't fit in those gloves. hmm But anywho, it is what it is. And we see the life of misery. He better have them did send him to prison for 125 years. By now, him would have did come out. Well, by now, him would have come out and him in life would have changed round and be different. But you see the misery, the miserable life that he has led ever since. Oh my God. He ended up going to prison for armed robbery because he said people stole his memorabilia and he hold them up with gun or whatever. He ended up spending years in prison for that. He has been in and out of trouble. Yeah, it's like a demon following him ever since that time. Let us continue. It is 1979. A baseball game in the Bundy's gym. The team is doing well, and the student section begins a chant. We are number one! We are number one! Morrie is sitting nearby. He is puzzled by the chair. At one point, in the midst of We are number one, he rises and yells, What's wrong with being number two? The students look at him. They stop chanting. He sits down, smiling in triumph. Morrie was something else. Let us continue. The audiovisual part 3. The Nightline crew came back for its third and final visit. The whole tenor of the thing was different now, less like an interview, more like a sad farewell. Ted Couple had called several times before coming up, and he had asked Morrie, "Do you think you can handle it?" Morrie wasn't sure he could. "I'm tired all the time now, Ted, and I'm choking a lot. If I can't say something, will you say it for me?" Couple said, "Sure." And then the normally stoic Anchor added this: "If you don't want to do it, Morrie, it's okay. I'll come up and say goodbye anyhow." Later, Morrie would grin mischievously and said, "I'm getting to him." And he was. Couple now referred to Morrie as a friend. My old professor had even coaxed compassion out of the television business. For the interview, which took place on a Friday afternoon, Morrie wore the same shirt he had had on the day before. He changed shirts only every other day at this point, and this was not the other day. So why break routine? Unlike the previous two couple short sessions, this one was conducted entirely within Morrie's study, where Morrie had become a prisoner of his chair. Couple, who kissed my old professor when he first saw him, now had to squeeze in alongside the bookcase in order to be seen in the camera's lens. Before they started, Couple asked about the disease's progression. "How bad is it, Morrie?" Morrie weakly lifted a hand, halfway up his belly. This was as far as he could go. Couple had his answer. The camera rolled. The third and final interview. Couple asked if Morrie was more afraid now that death was near. Morrie said no. To tell you the truth, he was less afraid. He said he was letting go of some of the outside world, not having the newspaper read to him as much, not paying as much attention to mail. Instead, listening more to music and watching the leaves change color through his window. There were other people who suffered from ALS, Morrie knew. Morrie knew some of them were famous, such as Stephen Hawking. Oh, we know Stephen Hawking. I think he died a few years ago. The brilliant physicist and author of A Brief History of Time. He lived with a hole in his throat, spoke through a computer synthesizer, typed words by batting his eyes as a sensor picked up the movement. This was admirable, but it was not the way Morrie wanted to live. He told Couple he knew when it would be time to say goodbye. For me, Ted, living means I can be responsive to the other person. It means I can show my emotions and my feelings, talk to them, feel with them. He exhaled. When that is gone, Morrie is gone. They talk like friends, as he had in the previous two interviews. Couple asked about the old ass wipe, about the old ass wipe test, hoping, perhaps, for a humorous response. But Morrie was too tired even to grin. He shook his head. "When I sit on the commode, I can no longer sit up straight. I'm listing all the time. So they have to hold me up. When I'm done, they have to wipe me. That is how far it's gotten." He told Couple he wanted to die with serenity. He shared his latest aphorism: "Don't let go too soon, but don't hang on too long." Couple nodded painfully. Only 6 months had passed between the first Nightline show and this one, but Morrie Short was clearly a collapsed form. He had decayed before the national TV audience, a ministries of a death. But as his body rotted, his character shone even more brightly. Towards the end of the interview, the camera zoomed in on Morrie. Couple was not even in the picture, only his voice was heard from outside. And the anchor asked if my old professor had anything he wanted to say to the millions of people he had touched. Although he did not mean it that way, I couldn't help but think of a condemned man being asked for his final words. "Be compassionate," Morrie whispered, "and take responsibility for each other. If we only learned those lessons, this world would be so much a better place." He took a breath, then added his mantra: "Love each other or die." The interview was ended, but for some reason, the cameraman left the film rolling and the final scene was caught on tape. You did a good job, Copper said. Morrie smiled weakly. I gave you what I had, he whispered. You always do. Ted, this disease is knocking at my spirit, but it will not get my spirit. It will get my body. It will not get my spirit. Copper was near tears. You've done good. You think so? Morrie rolled his eyes towards the ceiling. I'm bargaining with him up there now. I'm asking him, do I get to be one of his angels? It was the first time Morrie admitted talking to God. The 12th Tuesday, we talked about forgiveness. Forgive yourself before you die, then forgive others. This was a few days before the Nightline interview. The sky was raining and dark, and Murray was beneath a blanket. I sat at the far end of his chair, holding his bare feet. They were calloused and curled, and his toenails were yellow. I had a small jar of lotion, and I squeezed some into my hands and began to massage his ankles. It was another of the things I had watched his helpers do for months, and now, in an attempt to hold on to what I could of him, I had volunteered to do it myself. The disease had left Morrie without the ability even to wiggle his toes. Yet he could still feel pain, and massages helped relieve it. Also, of course, Morrie liked being held and touched, and at this point, anything I could do to make him happy, I was willing to do it. Mitch, he said, returning to the subject of forgiveness, there is no point in keeping vengeance or stubbornness. These things, he sighed, these things I so regret in my life. Pride, vanity. Why do we do the things we do? The importance of forgiving was my question. I had seen those movies where the patriarch of the family is on his deathbed and he calls for his estranged sons so that he can make peace before he goes. I wondered if Morrie had any of that inside him. A sudden need to say, I'm sorry, before he died. Morrie nodded. Do you see that sculpture? He tilted his head towards a bust that sat high on the shelf against the far wall. I had never really noticed it before. Cast in bronze, it was the face of a man in his early 40s wearing a necktie, a tuft of hair falling across his forehead. That's me, Morrie said. A friend of mine sculpted that nearly 30 years ago. His name was Norman. We used to spend so much time together. We went swimming. We took rides to New York. He had me over to his house in Cambridge, and he sculpted that bust of me down in the basement. It took several weeks to do it, but he really wanted to get it right. I studied the face. How strange to see a three-dimensional Morrie, so healthy, so young, watching over us as we spoke. Even in bronze, he had a whimsical look, and I thought this friend had sculpted a little spirit as well. Well, here's the sad part of the story, Morrie said. Norman and his wife moved away to Chicago. A little while later, my wife, Charlotte, had to have a pretty serious operation. Norman, Norman and his wife never got in touch. Hold on. Never got in touch with us. I knew they knew about it. Charlotte and I were very hurt because they never called to see how she was doing. So we dropped the relationship. Over the years, I met Norman a few times and he always tried to reconcile, but I didn't accept it. I wasn't satisfied with his explanation. I was prideful. I shrugged him off. His voice choked. Mitch, a few years ago, he died of cancer. I feel so sad. I never got to see him. I never got to forgive. It pains me now so much. He was crying again, a soft and quiet cry. And because his head was back, the tears rolled off the side of his face before they reached his lips. Sorry, I said. Don't be, he whispered. Tears are okay. I continued rubbing lotion into his lifeless toes. He wept for a few minutes, alone with his memories. It's not just other people we need to forgive, Mitch, he finally whispered. We also need to forgive ourselves. Ourselves? Yes, for all the things we didn't do, all the things we should have done. You can't get struck on the regrets of what you should have done and what should have happened. That doesn't help you when you get to where I am. I always wished I had done more with my work. I wished I had written more books. I used to beat myself up over it. Now I see that never did any good. Make peace. You need to make peace with yourself and everyone around you. I leaned over and dabbed at the tears with a tissue. Morrie flicked his eyes open and closed. His breathing was audible, like a light snore. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Don't wait, Mitch. Not everyone gets the time I'm getting. Not everyone is as lucky. I tossed the tissue into the wastebasket and returned to his feet. Lucky. I pressed my thumb into his hardened flesh, and he didn't even feel it. The tension of opposites, Mitch. Remember that. Things pulling in different directions. I remember. I mourned my dwindling time, but I cherish the chance it gives me to make things right. He sat there for a while, quietly, as the rain splattered against the windows. The hibiscus plant behind his head was still holding on, small but firm. Mitch, Morrie whispered. Uh-huh. I rolled his toes between my fingers, lost in the task. Look at me. I glanced up and saw the most intense look in his eyes. I don't know why you came back to me, but I want to say this. He paused, and his voice choked. If I could have had another son, I would have liked it to be you. I dropped my eyes, needing the dying flesh of his feet between my fingers. For a moment, I felt afraid, as if accepting his words would somehow betray my own father. But when I looked up, I saw Morris smiling through tears, and I knew there was no betrayal in a moment like this. All I was afraid of was saying goodbye. Oh my God! The book is coming to an end, and I believe Morrie is too. So, guys, I'm going to leave the best for last. I'm not going to read the rest of this because I can sense what's coming, and I know you all can sense it too. It's almost Morrie's last day, and I want to read this in perfect comfort. We are on page 160, 169, and the book is going only to page 205. So I'm going to leave what's left for tomorrow. When we come back tomorrow, if you really want to hear the end of the story, you got to come back tomorrow around this same time. You got to come back tomorrow at around 2:30 when I'm going to be reading this book. And while I am saying this, that around 2:30 tomorrow, you have got to come back. Let me grab my phone here and put up that thumbnail. Yep, I am going to put up that thumbnail for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2. For tomorrow at 2. Let me put this up. Tomorrow at 2, we are going to come back and read this book, Tuesdays with Morrie. I am enjoying this book. They're talking about forgiveness. They're talking about love. They're talking about marriage. They're talking about so many things that are important to us. They're talking about culture. They're just talking about being human, how to love each other, how to forgive, how to be there for each other. And these are important concepts that get lost in this individualistic society where we just think about me, 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 me. We don't think about others. We don't think about tomorrow, really. We just think about what we can do to our for ourselves today, and to hell with everybody else. We have become a very individualistic society. And here, Maureen, accepting that he is dying and there's nothing that he can do about it, has resorted to teaching the most valuable lessons he can from his wheelchair, from his deathbed. He is able to teach some of the most valuable lessons, more valuable than what he taught in 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 the college all these years. So we're gonna do Tuesdays with Morrie. Mm, the courage of a dying man. Hold on, I'm doing this. The courage of a dying man. Okay, actually, all right. Hold on, guys. Tuesdays with Morrie. And guys, I hope that you all are enjoying the reading, and I hope that you are learning something from the reading, because after all, the reading has a lot of inspiration in it. And so it is wise of us to take heart. Take heart. You're still here. Are you going back into hiding? I got back into hiding. When something better nobody try go back into hiding with me now, cause me don't do her anything. Wait there, where is the thumbnail for this? Schedule time, go back. Oh, I need to. Oh, what did I do wrong here? I need to go back. Oh, Jesus, this is. I just made a mess right here. I just messed everything up. I just messed it up. Now I gotta start all over again. Ooh, MG. I gotta start all over, guys, because I messed it all up. I didn't put in the thumbnail. Tuesdays with Morrie. Oh my God. Tuesdays with Morrie. The courage of a dying man. Hold on there, guys. Oh my God. Tuesdays with Morrie. Morrie. No, no, so me have to do what me have to do right away, because if me not do it right away, by the time tomorrow comes, it's something else. I'm gonna do it at 2:30, because normally I sleep from 10 till around 2. Yes, tomorrow PM. Let me put up the thumbnail. Oh, I don't see the thumbnail that I had made. Watch out. Where's the thumbnail there? Oh. Oh, well, I don't see it. I gotta find another one then to put up. Boy, oh boy. When it's not one thing, it's another. Mm-mm. All right, we're gonna leave it like that. We are going to leave it just like that because I can't find a thumbnail of all the thumbnails I've made. I can't find one to put up right now. So I'm just gonna call it a day. Let me use this picture. There's a picture here that I'm going to use. It's a picture. All right, we're gonna use apply. All right, here we go. All right, so I put up the thumbnail for tomorrow. So yeah, I just had to get that done while I'm laying here, or else it would have never get done. All right, so let us continue. Let us continue, guys, to be forgiving, to love each other. We know so we're not gonna love everybody because that's not realistic. But at least you don't have to love somebody to know that you don't hurt them. All right. That's going to be the end of the reading for today, my friends. When we come back in the morning, when we come back later on, after all, when I'm going to work, we're going to come back and chat a little bit about all kinds of things. No, Sam, me not fall asleep. I told me lay down flat, man. I told me lay down flat. Me wake up, me wake bright-eyed and bushy tail. Me not fall back asleep, baby. Me I get up and now get myself ready for work, and then we are go talk on the way to work. Me I go pack my lunch bag with my oatmeal and put my oatmeal and like what else me I go carry? Me have two cherry, me have couple grapes, me I go carry with me. Me I go over there to go see if me have no ripe mango, me I go cut up one and carry with me, and that is going to be my meal for tonight. That me I go eat tonight. Mango, cherry, grape, and some oatmeal. If you kinda hold me for the night. Cause when I come home in the morning, me not eat, you know. Cause I ate throughout the night, so me not eat. And maybe throughout the night me we eat like sometimes one popsicle or something like that. Yeah. And maybe drink a juice or so. And that's about it for the night. Drink some water and that's that. Yeah. So, guys, that's where we're going to end this reading for this evening. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live. I sincerely appreciate you. Those of you who hit the like button, those of you who share out the live stream, those of you who just came just to say hello to me and spend time with me. You are the real OG. I sincerely appreciate you all. All right, guys. So that's going to be it from me for now. Until next time, my friends. This is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great afternoon. Rest of the evening, everybody.